Good evening, everyone. The time is 5:32. Today is Thursday, November 13th, and I'd like to call this special city council meeting to order. Will the city secretary please call roll?
Mitchell, Heiser,
Here.
Rizzo, Zuniga, Harris. Here. McKinney,
Here.
Tobias.
Present.
All right, we have 4 members present. We have a quorum. Up next, we have citizen comment period. At this time, we ask anyone in the audience who wishes to come forward to speak, please do so. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes and that you direct those comments to myself and the council. We ask that you fill out a citizen comments form and submit it to either myself or the city secretary. Do I have any forms? No. Okay. All right, well, the citizen comments period is now closed. Up next on the agenda is number 1, under consider and possible action, consider approval of a resolution canvassing the results and declaring the results of the November 4th, 2025 general election of the city of Kyle, Texas. I will be presenting those results, I'm told. So bear with me a minute. Yeah? Okay, all right. All right, so Jennifer, do you want me to start here at the top or in the yellow? Yellow, okay, cool. All right, so canvassing the vote, there came to be considered the returns of the general election held on the 4th day of November 2025 for the purpose of electing council members for districts 1 and 3, and it appearing from said returns duly and legally made that each of the candidates in said election received the following votes. So for Council District 1, myself, Bear Heiser, early votes 1,188, election day 875 for a total of 2,063. Up next is Kyle J. Lavelle, early voting 536, election day 667 for a total of 1,203. Up next is Ellen Ermis, early voting 311, election day 233 for a total of 544. And lastly, Courtney Goza, who received 748 in early voting, election day 657 for a total of 1,405 votes. Next up is Council District 3. First up, we have Claudia Zapata, who early voting 1,716 votes, election day voting 1,533 votes for a grand total of 3,249 votes. Miguel A. Zuniga, early voting 1,042 votes, election day 907 votes for a total of 1,949 votes. It is found, determined, and declared by the City Council that said election was duly called, that notice of said election was given in accordance with the law, and that said election was held in accordance with the law, and that Claudia Zapata was duly elected to the Council District 3. Said above named party is hereby declared duly elected to said office, subject to taking the oath of office as provided by the laws of the state of Texas. As no candidate for the office of Council District 1 received more than 50% of the vote as required by the city charter, the City Council will order a runoff election for the office of Council District 1 by separate actions in accordance with state law and the city charter. The persons who received the most votes and who shall be included in the runoff election are Bear Heiser and Courtney Goza. Section 2, canvass of the vote, special election to fill vacancies. There came to be considered the returns of the special election held on the 4th day of November 2025 for the purpose of electing a mayor and a council member District 2. And it appearing from said returns duly and legally made that each of the candidates in said election received the following votes. First up is Mayor Andrea Velasquez. In early voting, she received 214 votes, election day 280 for a total of 494. Up next is Yvonne Flores-Kale, early voting 978, election day 768 for a total of 1,746. Up next is Donnie Willis, early voting 457, election day 450 for a total of 907. And lastly, Robert Rizzo, early voting 1,243, election day 1,062 for a total of 2,305. Up next, we have Council District 2, Melissa Medina, Early voting, 562. Election day, 497, for a total of 1,059. And Paul Hill, early voting, 421. Election day, 340, for a total of 761. It is found, determined, and declared by the City Council that said election was duly called, that notice of said election was given in accordance with the law, and that said election was held in accordance with the law, and that Melissa Medina was duly elected to City Council District 2. Said above-named party is hereby declared duly elected to said office, subject to taking the oath of office as provided by the laws of the state of Texas. As no candidate for the office of mayor received more than 50% of the vote as required by the city charter, the city council will order a runoff election for the office of mayor by separate action in accordance with state law and city charter. The persons who receive the most votes who shall be included in the runoff election are Yvonne Flores-Cale and Robert Rizzo. There came to be considered the returns of the special election held on the 4th day of November 2025 pursuant to Chapter 9 Local Government Code, Chapter 9 Texas Local Government Code, for the purpose of voting on the following propositions to amend this city charter, and it appearing from the returns of said special election duly and legally made that each proposition received the following votes for the proposition submitted and against the proposition submitted. So we'll go through these one at a time. Proposition A. For early voting, 2,173. Election day, 1,891, for a total of 4,064. Against, early voting, 730. Election day, 691, for a total of 1,421. Proposition B. For early voting, 2,290, election day 2,057, for a total of 4,347. Against, early voting 574, election day 483, for a total of 1,057. Proposition C, for early voting 2,085, election day 1,777, for a total of 3,862. Against, early voting 799, election day 798, for a total of 1,597. Proposition D, for early voting 1,656, election day 1,395, for a total of 3,051. Against, early voting 1,221, election day 1,155, for a total of 2,376. Proposition E. For early voting, 1,886, election day 1,700, for a total of 3,586. Against, early voting 949, election day 783, for a total of 1,732. Proposition F. For early voting, 1,624, election day 1,420, for a total of 3,044. Against, in early voting, 1,136, election day 964, for a total of 2,100. Proposition G, for in early voting, 1,919, election day 1,616, for a total of 3,535. Against, early voting 906, election day 841, for a total of 1,747. Proposition H, for early voting 2,556, election day 2,265, for a total of 4,821. Against, early voting 301, election day 258, for a total of 559. Proposition I, for and early voting 2,360, election day 1,980, for a total of 4,340. Against, in early voting, it was 517, election day 559, for a total of 1,076. Proposition J, for 2,400, early voting 2,407, election day 2,021, for a total of 4,428. Against, during early voting, 403, election day 423, for a total of 826. Proposition K, 4, in early voting, 2,068, election day, 1,791, for a total of 3,859. Against, early voting, 675, election day, 577, for a total of 1,252. Proposition L, 4, during early voting, 1,657, election day, 1,486, for a total of 3,143. Against, during early voting, 1,132, election day, 971, for a total of 2,103. Proposition M, 4, in early voting, 2,505, election day, 2,206, for a total of 4,711 votes. Against, during early voting, 363, election day, 321, for a total of 684. Proposition N, 4, in early voting, 1,106, election day, 937, for a total of 2,043. Against, during early voting, 1,671, election day, 1,476, for a total of 3,147. Proposition O, 4, early voting, 2,541, election day, 2,162, for a total of 4,703. Against, in early voting, 289, election day, 319, for a total of 608. Proposition P, 4, early voting, 1,571, election day, 1,302, for a total of 2,873. Against, early voting, 1,170, election day, 1,054, for a total of 2,224. And lastly, Proposition Q, 4, early voting, 2,234, election day, 1,971, for a total of 4,205. Against, during early voting, 552, election day, 477, for a total of 1,029. It is found, determined, and declared by the City Council that said special election was duly called, that notice of said special election was given in accordance with the law, returns of the election have been lawfully made by proper officials, and that said election was held in accordance with the law. Of each of the above stated propositions being submitted, only qualified resident electors by the city for one vote, propositions A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, LMNOP, resulted in more than a majority of the qualified votes voting at the
And did not, so you added a letter in there.
Oh, whoops, my bad. It's went too fast that time. Let me back up here. Where's of each of the above stated propositions being submitted to only qualified resident electors of the city for vote, propositions A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, O, P, and Q resulted in more than a majority of the qualified votes voting at the election having voted to pass the proposition by the number of votes described in Section 2A. As approved and adopted by a majority of the qualified voters voting at such election, the City of Kyle Home Rule Charter shall be amended as provided in the approved propositions and the ordinance calling the charter amendment election. And it is hereby declared that said amendments to the City of Kyle Home Rule Charter, as fully set out in the ordinance calling said charter amendment election, are hereby adopted. Do I have any motions?
I'd like to make a motion to approve agenda item number 1.
Second.
Motion to approve agenda item 1 made by Councilmember McKinney, seconded by Councilmember Tobias. Is there any discussion of the motion?
Looks like on one of them, the proposal, when it comes to the city charter, looks like it was voted to have every 6 years versus every 5 years. So we won't see that for a while, correct? I'm sorry, that the charter was voted unanimously to have it every 6 years now versus 5 years. So we won't be able to see any charter changes for another 6 years.
Under the charter, the city council will still be required to review it every 2 years. We will
Okay.
just be required to have a charter review commission every 6 years. So
Every
that
6
that way
years.
the 2 and the 6 are divisible by each other and it adds up.
Okay.
Any further discussion? No? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 4-0. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
This meeting is adjourned.